Welcome back once again to a new Subnautic video, and this is the big one, or at least one of many, as we are going to do work on the rusty wheel arches. Let's get on, starting with cleaning out the interior. You can really tell, like, that's a part of the bed sounding for rusty wheel arches. You can really tell that it was rusty. I also brought the second-hand ones. I might reuse these for funsies, but I do have a bit cleaner kinds available for me as well. Broken air hose. This car has basically also been some kind of like a junkyard for me, or a storage unit for me. So any parts that I have taken off from the car or replaced is just been left in the rear. You can take a look at that. That's the whole door seal for the front door. And again, just we do also have in the luggage compartment the new metal, the things we are supposed to swap in. This is the right side because of the hose for the gas tank, and this is the part we're going to swap at first. So as you can tell, on the inside the wheel arches are not welded completely, they are just welded at certain areas all the way around. Which means, in theory, I believe, I can just drill out those and, weld them on the car. Alright, so this is the bombshell that we're working on. The trash bags, I placed them just because when I first found about all the rust, it was during the winter, and when I moved the car I didn't want anything to get wet, and also to make sure that moisture doesn't just free falling into the car. But it doesn't work that well, it seems. Oh, look, another part of the car, I don't know where it's from. Oh my, I really did forget how seriously bad this is on the car. Like, I do believe I have the work cut out for myself. I can shove the camera through the car. So, if you're ever wondering kind of like size on the tires are, I can just look here. I do. Like, look, that's this right here. That's the suspension, which is held with those two bolts. So yeah, the thing is, those arches actually do continue further out from the luggage compartment to the rear seats. So there are a lot of things that I need to remove. But luckily, I do get a feeling this is the more easier part than when I actually had to do on the junkyard car. I had to just get new parts because I just cut everything. Meanwhile here I can do it methodically. Wow, that's a difficult word to say. But yeah, so as you can tell, that's the brake, the caliper. And the size of the tires are, well, that's a bit too bad of light, but I believe those are 225s. Alright, now we're better off. We can start working on removing the rusted out metal. So, yet again, this is the side we're going to work on. The driver's side, rear. And as far as I can tell, based on how I have taken out the other one, it is not completely welded. It's not tacked on, but it's welded like that, like on point, just point welded, I believe it's called. So it goes all the way from there over and down, and where the epoxy, well, it used to cover the opening between the metal, but you know, it no longer does that. But I believe it just does the same point weld. Like it's called something else. It's really factory like to do. Machines do it, I believe. So it looks like a 8mm, maybe a 10mm drill bit will do the work. But I'm gonna take a look to see if I can get some kind of like specialty drill bit that you are actually supposed to use on those kinds of welds, that, you know, so you don't drill all the way through. I just want to get it out so I can attach my part. I'm not gonna be able to do that kind of welding, obviously, but I will be welding with the MIG weld them together on the inside as well. So, but for today, we're going to just try to get it out, get it prepared to weld. So there's a wire loom as well that we need to handle. It's not directly connected to the metal part we're removing, so maybe I'm just gonna be careful and don't touch it, because it controls the brake lights, that module right there. So yeah, I guess I gotta find out what kind of size I need and try to get that part, get that tool. Alright. Oh, too big. the wrench didn't have enough power, so I have to go manual. You can tell that the threads are kind of fine, but on the threads in the car is definitely a bit rusty. Hey, awesome. After a little bit of forceful adjustments, I finally loosened the lower bolt. There we go. This is the car's assembly for the suspension. Probably need to get new shocks, as you can tell, kind of. So yeah, assembly out. Now I can actually just focus on getting all this old metal out. Alright, so the main work is to just use one of these welding drill bits remover, not drill removers, or whatever they call again. They're actually just meant to, they're a bit harder to be able to actually take out the welds, spots. Well, welding, spot welding, that's what it's called. It's called spot welding drill bit. And so it goes all the way around, and soon down here, the more comfortable part will be within the luggage compartment, as it is all the way around there. And based on how little amount of metal is here, if I'm lucky, I would just be able to use a crowbar or something to just beat it out. But places where I actually have been drilling, it's not directly like free falling, like they're still stuck to the car. And it's either because I'm not directly taking out the spot weld, but those are 8mm, and if I still have trouble, I'm just gonna tap it up to 9mm on a normal metal drill bit and just expand the hole that I made, hopefully taking out the rest of the weld. Alright, so this is taking a bit longer than I wanted. So I've been working a lot harder. I'm starting to see through the end of removing the damaged and rusted parts. Wow, got them fly. And it seems like the only places where it actually spot weld is at the upper part. The rest is just pressed onto. Jesus. Goddamn fly. But anyway, so yeah, so if you can see inside here, that's the gap that is glued with some kind of epoxy or something to make it waterproof or water resistant, and it's just done the same at the bottom. It's just the upper part that is welded, it seems like, or you know, there's so much rust that I don't see the welds because, you know, there's none left. Anyhow, when they get cracking on, just that's difficult, you know. Just cut down and use I just use a chisel and a hammer, and I, you know, just pry at it and I wedge it a little bit. I am a bit afraid that I'm actually warping the good and the usable part of the car, which means, you know, I want to triangulate it as correct as possible with the original way it was. I do have to take, you know, and get every part of the car realigned, but I want to make it as close as possible, so in case it is so much out of alignment that it's not able to do it and I have to redo the work. I do also want to make it as factory-like as possible, but you know, I'm gonna keep working on. Hopefully next time I start pick up the camera again, it is me taking out the entire rust part, the rusty wheel arch. It is time. I finally managed to get it more or less loose. Ta-da! Oh, hi there. Wow. This has been an interesting day 1 or 3. Man, I'm really surprised how sort of easy it was to remove. As you can see where all the holes are, that's only the part that is welded, spot welded on the car. The underneath, even though you don't see the rest of it because it's brought it out, it's actually just glued together, or at least a gap. So now, if I just make you guys in free mode, we are a huge step closer. Just look at that, almost perfect. I do need to a day or two clean up, prepare the surfaces. I do potentially want to start welding tomorrow, but based upon there's some rust on top there, rust here, I damaged and bent one of the areas that the wheel arch is welded to, so I need to straighten up that before I do anything. But yeah, this is a lot of progress for just one day. I'm jumping into the deep end of the water and getting a lot of things done. So yeah, now I definitely can read what kind of tire it uses on the inside. I have off camera dismantled the extra metal that was on the new metal, well, the usable part, and I just tried to just kind of dry fit it, just test how it looks. So from the normal, or how it used to be, it's a big upgrade. It more or less fits just right in without even having to do a lot. I most surely have to hammer it flat again, or hammer it in the correct shape, because I definitely bent it somewhere. But however, it is, if you ignore just the gaps for the moment, it is quite spot on for the first fitment. I am trying to use some like common points, such as where the lock point, the holding point for the rear seats are when you don't have them folded down, and just here, just try to sight up the correct places. But some parts of the old wheel arch is still in the car, so I either have to decide between cutting some of the new one or remove a little bit here, because I need to get this gap as locked as possible. And it was actually, I did find it was actually spot welded all the way at the top and down here. But the problem I have is that on the car itself, all the metal that the wheel arch was spot weld on is gone, rusted away. So I'm no welder, but I will have to just try to weld the gap. Not that big, of course. If it gets quite huge, the gaps are, I would just have to get some extra material and just weld at 2 areas just to fill it up. But based on how strong the car was, even with the rusty wheel arches, I am confident that whatever kind of welds I do will at least be safer and better. Whoa, look at that. It's totally a night and day difference. Just like Crucifix says, I will do all any way they knew. I did not show my welds due to the fact that I am not a welder. However, autism does a lot of good things. I don't have autism, but you know, or maybe I have. Who cares? But look, it's complete on the other one side. Now it's just time to do the other part. As you may have noticed, there is not a lot of footage from doing the second wheel arch, nor is there any footage of me welding. That is just straight up because I am no longer a full-time unemployed student, and I do have now a full-time job, which means I have to go to work and means I also don't have all the time. So when it came to this project, I really need to just get as much done as possible and sacrifice filming. And with that, ta-da! We are now completed with what may be the worst part of the car. Or, well, that is until we find something about the frame of the car that will never be fixable, and the car won't, you know, be roadworthy. That might be myself jinxing me. There are some areas that needs more work, for example, behind both sides. However, it is a Sunday. I don't have any sort of rust eater or rust converter on me. So what I did, just sprayed some WD-40 on the area. But it's pretty awesome to finally see at least nearly completely whole rear wheel arches. It obviously looks like a DIY job because it's not as pretty. However, you can't expect much. You've never done it before. Now I need to wait at least an hour to let the glue harden a bit more. And so I'm gonna take a break and maybe half an hour start cleaning up, get off this dirt and grime that I've picked up with my shoes in the car. And then I can actually rebuild the interior, add the chairs, or the seats rather, and perhaps even be able to completely cover up the trunk. I don't have a lot of junk anymore here, but just in the luggage compartment. Seems like I've forgotten how this was set up again. Hang on a second. Okay, so it did take some bit more time off camera, but I did find out actually there was a lot of like small brackets and such. I had to remount seat belts, the clips, the hooks. So now it's just basically first, well, as you can tell, there's also a paint stain here. But in reality, I should actually just, you know, suck up the rest of the dirt here before I mount the seats. But the seats are able to be moved. Therefore, I'm not gonna do it right now. I'm gonna do it here, but it's getting dark. I just really want to see this completed. It has been a 3-week progress. I really want to see the car complete again. And I haven't seen the car complete in interior wise since January. So really want to see how it looks. Alright, first off, seats are going in. These haven't been, the points of connection hasn't been manipulated at all. So these I will, or do know in fact, will sit right at home. However, these points where the actual like back part of the seats may have been altered, but hopefully not as much. So I don't have to use a hammer or you know, try to adjust something, because they are really not adjustable at all. Everything is just one point. They're supposed to be correct from factory, and I've done it like an amateur, so we'll never know truly. Okay, that went well. They're really easy to actually disconnect. They're just like the rear armrest, the back part of the seats. You enter one in a hole and you just press it to the side, and this little plastic thing is what holds it onto place. Getting closer. I do believe you have to do the back part of the seats in a specific order, and that is the big one, because it seems like the smaller part rests onto this joint right here. So simply have to try to wiggle this in place, if I'm not that wrong. Also have to try to get everything else at front simultaneously. Yeah. There. Please, it's now or never. Yes, it connects to one of the parts. Wow, that was really hard. Holy. Wow, okay. I think they might need some adjusting, but at least they lock. So let's do the last one. I do believe like so. Just have to get this in front of somewhere. Where are you supposed to go? Hold here and push down right here. Okay. It went right in. This is so awesome. Yeah, that's supposed to go. Or at least I think it's supposed to go like that. Yeah, he has to. Hold on. If I'm... Wow, thank you. If I'm an infant child, yeah, like so. And now I can just act like a child, you know. I'm strapped in, boys. My own car. That roller inside is definitely done for. And you know, closest to you guys, so you can get the 4K resolution of me. I think I did it. This was actually, when it comes to like doing the wheel arches, this was the thing I was most scared about, because a part of the wheel arches is the holding points on each end of the backs of the belonging to the chairs, and also the hooks here, because you can press a button on each end to, you know, set down. This one is really hard, that one is easy, so there's definitely something wrong here. I might have to take a hammer and whack a bit at the prong that hangs out, because it connects to that part right there. Oh, come on. So, but you know, it seems like I did well job. Well, I'm sorry to say the sun is going down. I really do want to move this car and drive it a bit, you know, try to actually feel the car again. So I didn't film anything. I have completely forgotten how it was actually assembled. It has been, well, 8 months since it was completed, but this is now how it looks. First time I actually filmed the car and showed the trunk, it was just plastic, the garbage bags covering the holes and everything stuck in there. And now it actually looks like any other commuter car. This though is a bit, this gasket is just completely trash. Like, it never holds its place. It's completely useless. However, there are actually supposed to be some kind of insulating pads that goes in form of the wheel arches, and those did not actually make it. I had everything under a cover in the rain and they got completely soaked. Though in those, the trash bag are the original ones that was completely like rust colored and everything. And in this bag was hopefully the one I wanted to use, but they're wet and I don't want to risk the chance of containing it and making all the interior moldy. So I'm leaving it in trash bags, and I will just see if I can get some new ones from the scrap junkyard, or try to get some kind of ozone machine and, you know, kill the bacteria in that. These are the plastic details that go on the arch. I need to reattach those, but I do still have some work. But now it's just gonna mostly try to do some cleaning and, you know, yeah. This is actually going to be maybe it for today. Oh wait, I actually do want to show the comparison of what the old metal looked like. Hang on a second. So, this mess right here was underneath some tarps, and this was the location where I stored everything. And right there is all the junk, the old parts of the car. As you can tell, well, this is actually part of the new things. As I overcut everything, but just, you know, this is the original wheel arch of the car. You can clearly see my eyes through it. I could probably use it as a hat. The only thing this is useful now is barely being a bucket, and this is going on to the scrapyard. even worse example. Like something straight out of like a horror movie or like a World War II documentary about battleships. In fact, those were so rusted that the well-spotted hooks or holders for the luggage net, came off. I literally just pulled them off at first when I saw them. So, yeah. These were the door cards, actually. And you can see here where the previous owner cut a massive hole in them to, I don't know. They did actually add some large speakers with it. They weren't probably connected at all even, so I actually, for the first time with this car, have to go and do some garbage disposal of some garbage. Those are the old wheels. They are 10 to 15 years old, the tires, but the wheels are still fine. I'm gonna use them as winter set. But yeah, it was quite a job. This was interesting, let's say. And by the way, we're getting really close to 100 subscribers. And the last video really blew up, like wow, still at like 700 views. It's really fun, and I really enjoy making this. It really gave me some kind of purpose again, and has been a lot of fun to find, or at least meet on the internet side of the SAAB community. And this is going to be fun awards. This is Subnetic signing out.